Medics in northern Syria have launched a campaign to vaccinate about 90,000 people against cholera. They're trying to stop an outbreak which began last year. The risk of contagion has increased following last month's devastating earthquake.
A camp for internally displaced people in Idlib province, Syria, one of the last areas not held by the government, which is not helping residents here recover from the quakes. Now, after years of hardship and war, the latest threat is cholera, a deadly disease that spreads through contaminated food and water. At least 26 people have died in recent months of cholera in northwestern Syria. The vaccination teams that are heading out now aim to reach tens of thousands of residents, but the task is monumental. There are about 4 million people living in areas outside government control. The United Nations has provided more than 1.7 million doses of vaccine. Local authorities have recorded more than 500 cases of the disease. It's a race against time. The earthquake destroyed sanitation infrastructure and clean water supplies. The cholera vaccine is safe and effective, God willing. We hope all the residents will cooperate with us and will take the vaccine in order to eradicate the disease in these areas, which include many camps with poor sanitation. So we're working on shielding our people before the disease spreads widely. If it works, the vaccination campaign will protect the people stuck here from one hazard, but many more remain.
Now, Mark Kay is the International Rescue Committee's Director of Policy, Advocacy and Communications for the Middle East and North Africa. Welcome to DW. This cholera outbreak was declared 6 months ago, and then there was the earthquake. How are things there now?
Well, this is the first cholera outbreak to hit Syria in over 13 years. And you know, the ISC have been working in the northwest of the country, which is the area that your presenter has just shown, largely cut off from humanitarian aid, completely reliant on aid coming cross-border from Turkey. Already pre-earthquake, we had more than 4.1 million people reliant on humanitarian assistance every day, whether that be access to clean water, to health, to shelter. The earthquake has only exacerbated that crisis. You've got people now who've been displaced by the earthquake, having been displaced as many as 20 times over the last 12 years from conflict and violence alone.
Right, and the terrible images that we saw a couple of weeks ago showed the world the difficulties of delivering aid into Syria's affected areas. Have those now eased?
No, it's still extremely difficult. We're just over a month since the earthquake have hit. Most of the aid is coming in via 3 border crossing points. One is a point that is mandated by the UN Security Council and is currently mandated until July. And the other 2 crossing points come from an agreement the UN made with the government of Syria to allow UN aid to cross the border, and those are due to expire in May. We have seen a big scale up of aid getting in, things like the vaccines that have been mentioned in the broadcast, but we are heavily concerned about where that is going to go in the coming months should these deals expire without long-term sustainable and predictable access.
Yeah, and the long term is, of course, what everyone has their eyes on, because, of course, this outbreak of cholera has its roots in a lack of clean water and sanitation. And post-earthquake, what are the chances of actually being able to fix that infrastructure and deal with the root causes of this problem?
Yeah, so the earthquake, I think, has hit has affected cholera almost threefold. So you've got it physically damaging water infrastructure that was already, as said, very precarious after years of conflict. It's also interrupted the ability of medical agencies to treat cholera, particularly given so much of it is about behaviours and making sure that people are drinking from clean water sources, that they are able to use proper sanitation facilities facilities. And then the third is obviously the fact that it's caused additional overcrowding. So you've got large populations who simply have had to move homes because they've been damaged or destroyed in the earthquake, who are now living in already overcrowded camp settings where the spread of such waterborne diseases are a significant concern. I think as today it marks the 12th anniversary of the beginning of the conflict in Syria. And, I think the ISC are really making the point that this should be a wake-up call. The earthquake should be a wake-up call, that the status quo cannot remain, and that we do need to see, a real end to this crisis,
right,
so that people in northwest Syria are not left behind.
OK, well, we thank you for reminding us of this continuing situation. Mark Kay from the International Rescue Committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you.